Good day and welcome, America and beyond. I'm Tom Donahue for Truth Matters. So glad you can be with us for this edition this week. And it looks like Trump's handler, which I've coined for Mark Levin, is getting a failing grade for the state of Israel because it appears that this peace deal and ceasefire will be going into effect, but it doesn't really change hardly anything that was already situationally the same. Matter of fact, it's no better than anything that Obama and Kerry put together. And so essentially there's no gains and there was no purpose achieved, no success, except militarily destroying people and things and, military installations and degrading their military overall. So Mark Levin, I guess, may get a pay cut and a demotion from his representing the state of Israel. Now, Mark Levin, who's irate just like all the NeoCons out there, I have to say that anytime we can have peace, even if it means for Trump surrender, even if it means, many of the NeoCons are livid, and I can see to some degree their argument. And my argument is we shouldn't have gone in at all. My argument is that there was no justification, that it was unprovoked, that if Trump obliterated their nuclear capabilities with Operation Midnight Hammer, then why do we need to hammer them again? And if Trump hadn't torn up the Obama-Kerry agreement, there would have been more oversight and more safeguards in place. Again, I don't know all the particulars, but the more that is coming out, Trump accomplished on paper, for what we know thus far, nothing substantial. There were no gains as it relates to what Obama and Kerry put together, and certainly no gains or successes, except militarily, that can be pointed to, and that the main objectives were not met. And Trump is lying, as usual, covering up the fact that he did say regime change. And he wanted to have the Iranian people assist in that regime change. And if there really is the uranium and the nuclear materials, which he claimed there were still, which is completely opposite of what he had said with Operation Midnight Hammer. But and he said that at times he threatened he was going to send the military in and we were going to retrieve and recover that. That was never done. Now, there was that operation that may have involved that. We still don't know what really happened with the Apache helicopter. We still don't know what happened with some other secretive operations. But we do know that Trump started to take to heart that inflation was spiking. Energy prices were not so good, right, Trump? So according to the Financial Times, they said Trump settled for a truce of convenience with Iran. That's the Financial Times. Many critics said nothing was accomplished. So in quotations, the Mediaite article, accomplished nothing. Critics trashed Trump's boasting about great Iran deal. Everything is great. Everything's big. Everything's better. So delusional. The delusional Don. On Fox News, some of the commentators said this is a disaster and torches the plan to give Iran $300 billion. They'll have access to $300 billion for reconstruction and whatever. The Iranian regime says that they won, that they were victorious. Obama hammers Trump's Iran deal is likely the same as we had in the first place, which is looking more and more like that's the case. The Telegraph, UK Telegraph, says Trump is turning victory in Iran into an American humiliation. Vance admits Iran could have access to $300 billion in reconstruction fund. Trump thanks Russia and China for helping him with the Iran deal, but ignores they helped Iran target U.S. troops. Insanity. Top Trump officials reportedly doubt the Iran agreement cut by their boss. So even within his inner circle, they were very doubtful of what this agreement was going to be. A retired general in his interview, he shredded Trump's Iran concessions on Fox News. They shouldn't get any of it. Trump's Iran deal triggers speculation, skepticism, but does get a market bump. And the article I was referring to earlier, the headline from the Financial Times, another one, said the Iran government declares it has won the war. Oh, that's nice. Trump's Iran deal is greeted with skepticism, scrutiny on Capitol Hill. And I mentioned earlier that the Telegraph said that the fear of inflation forced Trump into this Iran deal. There was an op-ed piece in The Hill that said a failing grade for the U.S. and Israel in the Iran war. Now, I did want to address and circle back to Mark Levin stating on his radio show that anyone that used the code word NeoCon, which is their term, neoconservatives, they use the abbreviation NeoCons for neoconservatives. He said that it's code for being anti-Jew, anti-Semitic. And I have to say, wait a minute. Is Ted Cruz Jewish? No. Is Lindsey Graham Jewish? No. Now, there are Jewish factions that are part of the NeoCon movement, but the majority of the NeoCons are not Jewish. It includes Jewish individuals, but it's not exclusively Jewish. So again, a red herring, another distraction. It's another way of Levin lashing out. But hey, maybe you were rewarded handily for being the handler to get Trump to go to war. But I'm sure Israel had expectations that you would keep him forging forward with the war machine. And unless something goes awry, and you in Israel, and you being the handler, you may not be in that position. You know, you may see the funding for your radio show. You may see funding that for other things may just simply vanish. It may disappear. So again, it is my speculation that he's the handler. And if you look at any of those pictures with his arm draped around him and pushing and pressuring Trump, and I believe that even Tucker Carlson has said similar things, but not to the degree that I have. On the one hand, if this peace deal goes through, regardless of how flawed it is, if it stops the killing in the Middle East, if it stops the slaughter and the carnage and the wreckage, then I will applaud Trump on that front. But I will never forgive him for starting this war with his master country, Israel, because even though Trump says he calls the shots, and I think Trump is desperate right now, and it is possible that there is a falling out here, but it seems highly suspect because through Epstein and through other means, I'm sure that they have the blackmail on Trump. And I think that's more or less why some of these Epstein files are being released to keep him in check. But we'll monitor the situation. We'll see where it goes. But again, anytime we can advocate for peace, unless there's an attack on the homeland and it's not a false flag, I believe in strong military might. But that's in a defensive posture. It's not taking over Cuba, Venezuela, considering Canada, Greenland, and certainly Iran, etc. But you would almost think that Bush and Cheney were back in office. I mean, I could imagine Papa Bush, Dick Cheney, and even the painter, the artist now, Bush Jr., are all reveling, ecstatic, in political ecstasy over Trump's invasion and 100-plus day war. They want to see more aggression and more slaughter and carnage, but they got at least partial wish. And I'm sure the celebration with them, wherever they may be, is very hearty and very, very celebratory. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, we're going to take our first break. So much more to get to. You're tuned to Tom Donahue, Truth Matters. It really does. Right back, hold tight. Tom Donahue for best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2 air purifier uses proven oxy technology that quickly destroys viruses, odors, mold, and so much more with thousands of 5-star reviews. It really does work, and I can tell you I've used it for 8+ years. Every day. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, mildew, and much more are no match for the Thunderstorm 2. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules which seek out and destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. Best of all, no filters ever, saving lots of money. Start enjoying your clean home again. You can save $50 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2 if you click on my link at my website. Add another unit and you'll get an additional $20 off. Each additional thunderstorm you add to your cart while shopping, you'll get that additional $20 off. That's $70 for every additional one you place your order for. You must click on my link at my website to get these savings. Reiterate some of the major points. The Thunderstorm 2 proven oxy technology destroys viruses, odors, mold, mildew, cleans the air of allergy-causing particles so you can breathe easier again. Freshens the scent of your home. It gets rid of any odor, whether it's litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, cooking smells, and I cook with garlic, and it works. So never breathe dirty air again in your home. No filters to buy. Takes up virtually no space. It plugs directly into the wall. Very quiet, nearly silent. Great for use even in your bedrooms. It's compact even for travel. If you're staying in a hotel and you know how musty and mildewy those hotel rooms can be, Tom Donahue, Eden Pure, and you go to TomDonahueReports.com, TomDonahueReports.com. It'll take you to the Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2. All the information's there. As soon as you start clicking through the shopping cart, you'll get those discounts because you're clicking on my link. Absolutely 100% endorse this and have used it for more than 8 years. These units at the regular price is quite a deal. But then you get $50 off by simply clicking on the banner, and each additional unit, you can take another $20 off per unit. So that brings the price to $59. I don't know how they do it. It's an incredible product already. Tremendous pricing. Take advantage of this by clicking on the banner, TomDonahueReports.com, Eden Pure. It's a must-have. I use it every day and completely 100% endorse it.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Tom Donahue. Tom Donahue Reports. Truth matters. It really does. And let me jump right back in. And there's several headlines relating to this Trump-Iran peace deal, ceasefire, etc. This is what Fox News' Brian Kilmeade had to say. He torches the deal, said it makes absolutely no sense. A prominent GOP senator said Reagan is rolling over in his grave. GOP takes a flamethrower to Trump's Iran deal and calls it the worst foreign policy blunder in decades. Mark Levin, Trump's handler, cranky, he says it's unthinkable. Absolutely buries Trump's Iran deal point by point. Many conservatives call it the American surrender, and they react in horror to the formal Iran deal announcement. So it's a 14-point U.S.-Iran peace deal, and the details are now leaking forward. Trump confirms plan to unfreeze Iran funds may yield $100 billion for the regime, but not only that, but $300 billion plus to restore and to reconstruct Iran. Now, remember, Trump was a harsh critic of the Obama-Kerry deal that nailed down things much more profoundly than this Trump deal, and there was a lot less money involved, and there were no lives lost, and the Strait of Hormuz was never closed, and they had several organizations that were going to be monitoring and enforcing the deal. So Trump tears up the deal, claims it was completely flawed and fraudulent. We go without a deal for many years. Trump goes to war under false pretenses because if he obliterated the Iranian nuclear capabilities, and then several months later says they're closing in on having a nuclear weapon, which was ridiculous, nonsensical, and contradicted their own statements previously, and also intelligence reports. Additionally, Trump breaks with decades of U.S. policy and jaw-dropping confession that Iran will have missiles as part of the peace deal. And there's a lot of things still not ironed out, but now we have the NeoCons turning on Trump. Now, I want to be clear here. The whole thing is complete chaos. But if this sloppy deal, if this incomplete, deficient deal stops the loss of further lives, then I have to be tacitly in favor of it. But this is a colossal foreign affairs blunder from the start of this war to the so-called end of this war and the negotiated settlement. But Iran is claiming victory. Most conservative outlets are saying that Trump has surrendered. Now, Trump's loyal lapdog, Hannity, on his show, says he claims Trump's Iran deal goes way deeper than what's been made public. Not really. Not true. Now, I had heard tonight that even though there was an 18-page memorandum on the Obama-Kerry Iran deal, there was 159 pages of supporting details that were hammered out, that were agreed to, that reinforced or fortified the document. I'm no expert on these things, but the point of the matter is that Trump was trying to outdo Obama, and Obama and Kerry won. Iran won. This has been devastating and humiliating defeat for Trump, and still no accountability for the schoolgirls that were slaughtered. Why did our American soldiers get wounded and 13 or more killed for no justifiable cause? The world had to suffer. Iran certainly suffered. And Trump did this on the behest of Israel to a great degree. And these newfound friends, the NeoCons, are all turning on Trump. And his handler is really upset. Levin, MAGA is melting away. So I don't know what he's going to have left, really. I mean, it's only people that just continue to hang on with some semblance of hope that Trump will return to his old self. Did you see? He looked like Biden, bumbling and fumbling all along at the G7 meeting. I thought it was Biden with 50 extra pounds lumbering around. Now, I want to go back to Hannity here before I close out this segment. In the past, I used to call him the jughead, And I mentioned that he had the chin of Jay Leno and the blockhead of Fred Flintstone, but now he's the older version. And he's Mr. Vape, the vapor. But so the vapor and the jughead, he is a hard worker. I know that for people that work around him. And he actually treats people pretty well. So I'll give him that. But he's not a high, well, I'll use Trump's term, he's not a high IQ person, okay? And he's a repeater. And if you tune into his show, he's gonna spew the same talking points over and over again. But he is a loyal lapdog to Trump. And he'll be one of the last rats off the ship when the ship, totally shipwrecks or capsizes. So I've had nicknames for Hannity in the past, but I don't know if you saw those funny videos that were released probably 2 years ago or so, where somebody in studio got their phone out, and during his television breaks at Fox News, he was vaping away. I mean, what is he, a teenager? I mean, is he really that much of a loser that he'd be smoking anything? But yeah, Mr. Vape. Great example for our youth. And I've not heard that he's given it up. So, and I can see anyone that smokes, typically you see the aging effects, and you see that with Hannity. I mean, he has aged dramatically in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, the only thing that he's fortunate of, and I too, is that he still has a full head of hair. At least I believe that to be his natural hair. So, we'll just leave it at that. I don't really care. But yeah, everybody is coming for Trump's scalp in terms of this horrific and just absolutely horrid deal. You may as well just have hired some bums off the street to put it together. I mean, this is just abysmal. I mean, pathetic. But if it stops the war, if it eases things economically, and Trump said that, one final point before this break, he said that, this will boost the stock market, which most Americans really are not in the stock market. It doesn't really, that's not the effects on their groceries and their energy bills. And the other thing was, he said, and he did mention the gas prices and inflation. So this is all about the optics of the economics. And he saw it was getting worse. He finally realized, and that's primarily why he's being more or less forced to strike a deal. Remember, he's supposed to be the art of the deal, even though he didn't write the book, but, I'm sure that he did contribute to it. A lot of his deals, his so-called deals, are not great deals. Maybe this just fits in with his whole profile, being the artist known as the bankruptcy guy. And another thing that Dangerous Don has demolished, the wrecking ball. And then he violates his own deal by saying that he threatens to bomb them again if they don't abide by. And in the language within the peace deal is that neither country or participating countries can threaten the other countries. And Trump already put out threats. So it's just typical of Trump. More to come. Tom Donahue, Truth Matters. Right back. Welcome back. Tom Donahue. Truth Matters really does around here. We're going to continue with more or less the same subject matter because it really is nation-defining, world-defining events that are pivotal and consequential. Trump is continuing to embarrass the United States and the world at large at the G7. And this fiasco, disaster of a peace treaty with Iran has gotten universal disapproval and outrage and upheaval. Now, again, I want to caution you that my views are that anytime we can end war that's not on our soil, that we're not in direct aim as a direct bullseye target, then I applaud that. Because I don't want to see wartime deaths. I don't want to see so-called collateral damage. I don't want to see Demolition done in destructive mode. Because he has taken a wrecking ball to the White House, a wrecking ball to this country, our Constitution, our freedoms, our rights, and the world. So deranged, delirious, destructive Don has got to go. But when you have Obama-Kerry's plan superseding in strength, in popularity, and in effect versus the Trump-Vance plan against the Trump-Vance-Rubio plan, which we're not so sure Rubio and Vance are on with the plan, and they both, especially Rubio, looks completely out of sorts, completely dismayed, completely disgruntled, because this is affecting 2028. Their minds are on that more than anything else. And this plan is distracting and disillusioning them from their prospects of winning the White House. An article from The Hollywood Reporter says Fox News Trump divorce. And so this is after a decade of mutual codependence. There's been ups and downs in that relationship, but now, because of this plan, and because of Trump's abysmal popularity polls, approval polls, and massive disapproval, that when you see the Wall Street Journal, a house organ of Rupert Murdoch, and of course Fox News, putting out scathing reviews and rebukes of Trump and this plan. Among other things, they took the lead with the birthday card and Epstein and Trump threatened with legal action and then had to back down because it's all bark and all roar and nothing behind it. Because it was his signature, it was his birthday card to Epstein, his 50th, and that's just a fact. So I applaud the Wall Street Journal for standing up to Trump, regardless of legal threats. The Hawks lament disaster, quote unquote, on Iran as Trump strains to sell the deal. Loyalist and lapdog Hannity claims Trump's widely maligned Iran deal goes way deeper, but they're not telling the people yet. Yeah, right. So Hannity and a few hanger-ons are defending this debacle. I mean, if you're going to try to top Obama and Kerry, which is a low bar in my view, even though there was a lot of work and time and effort put into it, get it done right or don't do it at all. Just like when he was, like the Republican Party, GOP, to some degree, rightfully so, challenging the flaws of Obamacare. And then when they asked Trump during the debates, he said, well, he has a concept of a plan. I mean, you've had a decade in and around the presidency, and that's all you have? So Obama keeps besting Trump and making him look like a fool, like he did at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But I think Trump's one of his low points with all these memes and social media sprees was showing the Obamas as apes. And I guess everybody knows that the UFC fighter came out and said, Michelle Obama's a man. Now, I have seen some videos that seem to indicate that there's something below the belt protruding that doesn't look feminine. But again, I just don't have time to investigate that. I just don't have time to really get into the weeds of that. But, that at the White House, at an event that's sponsored by the White House, and then Trump kind of smirks and smiles, it just that, and, depicting them as apes. And there's no pushback from Trump and the White House regarding these kinds of things. Trump never apologized for the apes memes, which to me is insanity. I mean, is there anything more blatantly racist against blacks and African Americans than depicting them as apes? No, there just isn't. Even the N-word doesn't stack up with depicting black people as apes. Crazy. Mark Levin calls out J.D. Vance directly as MAGA civil war heats up. Levin goes off on GOP senator defending Trump's deal. So the handler is not happy with Trump. And the NeoCons, who became Trump's latest new friends, just give a little false flattery and you're in. And we're able to push him off the ledge to go to war on behest of Israel, as they are all turning on him. But Trump can pivot pretty quickly. I mean, he claims that the stock market and inflation could put him in a position like Herbert Hoover in the Great Depression, and he reversed course. So the majority of his objectives are not met, and this is, as many have claimed, complete surrender. And not only the $100 billion that Iran will get, but they get an additional $300 billion in reconstruction and reparations, if you will, for their country being destroyed and decimated by Trump and Israel. And they may control the strait with fees and charges and services. At least the strait was always open during the Obama administration. So what has Trump gained by this except dropping a ton of bombs? Now, the defense industry and the defense military industrial complex gained a lot because their main goal is profiteering, and they were able to do that. Bloomberg states Trump's Iran nuclear deal risk falling short of Obama's version. Brian Kilmeade says this makes absolutely no sense. So J.D. Vance is out trying to sell this when he was actually opposed to the war and opposed to ground troops. And then he goes on The View and says, see, I've shown how I can, my negotiating skills against a bunch of hens and hags. That's proving that you can stand up and take the heat and debate and negotiate. Really? Wow. Okay, that's a real high bar. So that's where we stand. We got a mishmash of a deal. We've got a give up and give away deal. But hey, if it stops more deaths, more human carnage, I support it in that regard. But they say the devil's in the details, and the details favor Iran. So Iran has won this war, and for all the bellicose and the bravado of Trump, again, another L. He keeps losing on all fronts. The art of the deal. Just give it away and say, hey, I got a deal done. Isn't that lovely? More to come right back. Tom Donahue reports. Truth Matters. Tom Donahue for best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2 air purifier uses proven oxy technology that quickly destroys viruses, odors, mold, and so much more with thousands of 5-star reviews. It really does work. And I can tell you, I've used it for 8+ years. Every day. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, mildew, and much more are no match for the Thunderstorm 2. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules which seek out and destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. Best of all, no filters ever, saving lots of money. Start enjoying your clean home again. You can save $50 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2 if you click on my link at my website. Add another unit and you'll get an additional $20 off. Each additional thunderstorm you add to your cart while shopping, you'll get that additional $20 off. That's $70 for every additional one you place your order for. You must click on my link at my website to get these savings. Reiterate some of the major points. The Thunderstorm 2 proven oxy technology destroys viruses, odors, mold, mildew, cleans the air of allergy-causing particles so you can breathe easier again. freshens the scent of your home. It gets rid of any odor, whether it's litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, cooking smells, and I cook with garlic, and it works. So never breathe dirty air again in your home. No filters to buy. Takes up virtually no space. It plugs directly into the wall. Very quiet, nearly silent. Great for use even in your bedrooms. It's compact even for travel. If you're staying in a hotel and you know how musty and mildewy those hotel rooms can be, Tom Donahue, Eden Pure, and you go to TomDonahueReports.com. TomDonahueReports.com. It'll take you to the Eden Pure Thunderstorm 2. All the information's there. As soon as you start clicking through the shopping cart, you'll get those discounts because you're clicking on my link. Absolutely 100% endorse this and have used it for more than 8 years. These units at the regular price is quite a deal. But then you get $50 off by simply clicking on the banner, and each additional unit, you can take another $20 off per unit. So that brings the price to $59. I don't know how they do it. It's an incredible product already. Tremendous pricing. Take advantage of this by clicking on the banner, TomDonahueReports.com, Eden Pure. It's a must-have. I use it every day and completely 100% endorse it. Hi, Tom Donahue for Truth Matters and Tom Donahue Reports. Have to issue an alert. I have a new website under construction. It's a work in progress. Part of the reasoning was that the basic site that I had were having issues getting in to do the editing, and I had my domain registration in another location, which complicated matters. So now I've got it all under one roof at WordPress, but the situation is I was able to transfer a lot of that information, but it's static on the new website. So if you were to try to click through to the archives or click on some of the TalkStream Live gadgets, those kind of things, you can just see them. You can read the material. And that site, when you had the redirect, it would take you to tomdonahuereports.yourwebsitespace.com. So that's still active, and you can click through there at this time. It's tomdonahuereports.yourwebsitespace.com. Now, the new site that is where my domain is, which is tomdonahuereports.com, you won't be able to click through, but you can read and you can still gather information. But in the coming days and weeks, we hope to have it fully functional. So I don't want you to miss out on anything. It doesn't affect any of the podcast directories, doesn't affect the radio show, whether it's on the weekends, whether it be TalkStream Live, K-Star Talk Radio. All that is the same as usual. So again, I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for visiting either of those or both of those websites. Bigger and better things are coming. And so I just wanted to give you this high alert because you might get detoured or frustrated. And I wanted to give you the inside scoop. So that's it for the alert. Tom Donahue, Truth Matters, Tom Donahue Reports. And thank you again for your understanding and patience. Welcome back, Tom Donahue Reports, and Truth Matters. On the final stretch here, got a few things I want to cover before we conclude this week's programming. Top Trump donor Miriam Adelson newspaper runs a scathing open letter to the president. You failed. Remember the expression, you're fired? Well, I think there's a lot of firings going to happen, at least symbolically, if not in actuality, from Israel vis-a-vis their representatives and their handlers and those that they're blackmailing in the United States. Vance is out trying to sell the Iran plan as skeptics get even louder. Here's a Telegraph, their headline, how Trump's Operation Epic Disaster, quote unquote, turned the world against America. Mark Levin calls out J.D. Vance directly as MAGA civil war heats up. So this has become an unmitigated minefield and disaster for Trump and for those that want to run as so-called MAGA candidates but really in disguise NeoCon candidates. And so either way, they're screwed because MAGA was not happy for the most part for us entering this war. And then the NeoCons are even more livid and more agitated and disappointed and disgusted because none of the main objectives, the goals of this war, were not met. And so it's interesting that typically you have a certain level of support, and that's eroded to the point where there's very few people that see that this was a worthy cause and moreover, a favorable conclusion in terms of, meeting objectives. And we went through some of those. So, we can circle back as well. A new book reveals Trump compares himself to Mao, Stalin, Attila the Hun. Wow. Yeah. Well, he has this love affair with dictators, and he wants to be in a position of absolute power, and he wants to be honored, and he wants to be obeyed, and he wants the praise, the lavish praise. That's what he seeks. Now, here's something interesting. Trump spent all this time and energy on the plans for the ballroom, plans for the reflecting pool, and now it is teeming with green algae. Worse than when he went in to have these repairs done. But now the blue material, which was they considered the paint job, the material's breaking away and floating, and people are grabbing it as souvenirs. And of course, Trump says that someone's tampered with it, and he's trying to blame some kind of outside forces. Well, when you have a no-bid contractor who's a mega donor and is given a contract, he happens to be a felon who paid bribes to a former congressman, but because he's a mega donor, Trump can overlook those things and not even, I thought he had this business acumen and someone that was the art of the deal and someone that was budget conscious and would come up with, the right company and the right fit, in terms of the right bid for this job. And no, not at all. So all this money, time, effort, publicity, it's going to look horrific for America 250. So again, another project botched by Trump. He is just a walking disaster. The tornadic and traumatic activities that swirl around Tornado Trump is just unbelievable. Now, what's really interesting, too, is not only that this guy's a felon, that he's a mega donor, that there was no bid, that the job is completely botched. We've got it, the paint job is completely peeling away and it's just a disaster. And the green algae is in full bloom. This quickly. And the water purification system from this company is under the title of Green Water Services. And yeah, that was one thing they did do right. Their namesake says it all. Green water, green algae. He's got the anti-Midas touch. Almost everything he touches just turns into complete failure. It's just unbelievable what's happening in the second term. Could you imagine if Trump was the contractor here? You would fire him right away. In the private sector, he'd be fired. And again, that's part of the reason that he wanted to own his father's company, to take it over, is that this way he could run roughshod, and the only people that could hold him in account would be the bankers, that helped drive him into 4 bankruptcies. One of the latest articles on the reflecting pool says the reflecting pool is now under siege by a more aggressive algae. Oh, wonderful. Those people that are grabbing for souvenirs, don't put your hands in there. Don't touch it. But tourists are tearing off pieces of the reflecting pools, the peel away paint, the souvenirs. Yeah, so the term that Trump used for outside forces that are creating the algae. He says it's vandalism causing the reflecting pool debacle. Yeah, people were saying, oh, let me plant some algae in here. Really? Come on. Well, it looks like Margie Taylor Greene is doing a podcast, and she's going to be on YouTube. And I saw her introductory preview and promo, and it's scathing on Donald Trump. I mean, she eviscerates him on every level, and she's pretty good. I have to give her some credit. One time I thought she sounded more like a country bumpkin, but she's a little more polished now, and she's got a pretty good delivery. So we'll have to check out her podcast and YouTube. And I mean, Trump has created all these media stars because now they can focus on commentary and exposing Trump and Congress. So thank you, Trump, for that. Trump unveils the new plane for Air Force One, a gift from Qatar. Or is it Qatar? I don't care. But whatever the case is, I just think that this taking gifts from foreign countries, the emolument clause and in the Constitution, and the fact is that I don't like the foreign lobbyist, and I certainly don't like these kinds of gifts. It just sets a dangerous precedent, and I hope that this plane eventually gets returned, and that I think Trump wants to take this plane if he stays in office, if he remains in office the next 2 years, that I think he wants it as part of his presidential library. Well, you can have a gift from Qatar, okay, or Qatar, because we, the people, do not want it. We don't want gifts from foreign nations. Say, well, what about the Statue of Liberty? Well, I'm not going to get into that right now. That was a different kind of gift that really didn't benefit anyone specifically. It's a monument, and it was donated to the country. This really is about one person, and I think that the next president will probably say, I'm not going to use it. Not taking gifts from foreign countries. And there's just too much foreign influence on the president, on the Congress, and, well, look no further than Israel and why we went to war. There you go. Says it all. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for joining me, Tom Donahue. Truth Matters. Remember to check out TomDonahueReports.com. Also, Eden Pure, and share this show, whether it's through your favorite radio station, streaming station, or podcast on demand or YouTube channel. So thank you so much. And till we meet again, Tom Donahue, Truth Matters.